Happy Thursday, everybody. Really excited for what we're going to talk about today and our special guest who I'll introduce in just a couple minutes. Thank you for taking some time and joining us. I know when you're on a webinar with us here, you aren't out making money, putting food on your table, paying your bills. So really appreciate that. One really simple housekeeping rule. Shauna and I are here for you. Shauna and I could have a phone call without you. So with that, the reason I bring it up is if you have questions, please type them in the question box. We had a huge registration for this topic. So if we get a ton of questions, I may not have even enough time at the end to answer them all, but we promise if you put a question in and it's not answered at the end of this webinar, somebody, either me or somebody from the Western Marketing Life and Annuity team or your marketer with Western Marketing will get back with you to answer that. So, this is the first of a 9-week series that Sean has been gracious enough to offer to do for us. So if you like what you hear today and you want more, good news. The next 8 weeks after this, every Thursday at 1 o'clock Central, we're going to have more and we're going to build. And so I'm not going to steal Sean's thunder, but without further ado, I want to introduce a good friend and mentor, Sean Ruggiero. Sean, welcome.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks for having me. Welcome everyone who is joining us from Western Marketing. Jim, we were talking about how are we going to title this presentation, and there's got to be a bit of a catch or a motivation. And what we decided was doubling your income in 2024 was a pretty good catch. It'd be pretty motivating. The good news is this is not bait and switch, right? This is something that is true, and I've been doing this for 20 years. It's something that I've seen deployed multiple times with agents who service in that health industry, who service with Medicare, MedSup. And I know Western, you all sell a decent amount of annuities already. You all sell life insurance, but your core competency, Jim, right, is going to be agents who are working with that senior market, the T65, right, and up. And that is a wheelhouse for fixed index annuity sales. Now, don't take this as me about to pitch you on annuities and me starting to focus on the features and what the annuity does. I'm going to talk to you about two things: getting confident with annuities, understanding the place and understand how to execute them, and being compliant with annuities. Because you put those two together, you are sitting on a gold mine. I don't care if you've been doing MedSup sales, MedAdvantage sales for 6 months, and you've got 32 clients, or you've been doing it for 6 years and you have 320 or 620 clients. This pertains to you, and it's going to double your income. That is a proven fact. So let me go through this real quick. I'm not a big fan of talking about myself. My wife says I need to get over that, right? So I will tell you a little bit about who I am, because I think it's important. You want to understand who's telling you this, right? What is your experience? What is your right to educate me on how to double my income? Well, a little bit about myself. I am a managing partner in Integrity Marketing Group. I sold 3 companies to Integrity back in 2019. All right, so on the early wave of the crest of acquisitions that they made, starting back in 2019. In 2015, I was voted as one of the 20 most creative people in life insurance by Life Health Pro, something I'm very proud of. It shows that I'm not just a one-trick pony. I work on all sides. I work with life insurance, I work with annuity, I work with the securities market, and I work with software to try to help capture that. And as Jim said, we're going to go through a 9-week series. One of them is going to be how you can generate free leads through software that Western has procured for you for no charge. So I don't want to get too far ahead, but some pretty cool stuff on the horizon. I am the founder of Ruggiero Wealth Management, so that's an RIA. I'm a securities licensed agent. I keep that designation primarily so when I speak about stuff, I can legally speak about stuff. And we're going to talk about what side of that licensing you fall on. Most people are going to be life and health. They're not going to be securities agents, and I'm going to cater to that because I want to keep you confident and keep you compliant. I'm the founder of SafeMoneySmart.org. That is a 501c3, a nonprofit, and it has to do with creating an awareness and an execution plan, totally free, for the underserved Americans, the people who are going into retirement who need alternatives to taking risk, and they need plans when it comes to retirement, yet they don't have enough assets to warrant a certain brokerage financial advisor to work with them. All right, so SafeMoneySmart.org, if you haven't seen that website, feel free to check it out. There's some great public domain information. And then finally, I am the author of 7 Benefits of FIAs for Retirement. It's one of Amazon and Barnes & Noble's top sellers for retirement books. It's about 150 pages and a great tool. And I want to make something very clear. I don't promote, like say a Patrick Kelly, I don't promote that you buy my book and give it to clients and it's going to make a sale. And Jim, you want to know the reason why I don't promote that? It's not because I don't want to make book sales. If you think people make rich off books, you got to be Stephen King. You make very little off a book sale. So I could sell a few thousand and you'd be shocked at how little money that is. I don't sell it for that. I don't promote giving my book to clients to close your sale. I promote agents reading my book to bolster their knowledge and confidence, and then you can go out and make a sale. So put a pinhole on that, because at the end of this, I have something that I want to show my appreciation, gratitude, and my thanks to the agents who are participating on this. So let's get to the meat of this. We're going to double our income in 2024. All right. How accurate is that? It's very accurate. When I say you're going to double income, yes, you're going to double your income. And here's the important thing to understand. Jim, it doesn't take a different license. Virtually, all of you are listening to this, virtually raise your hand. How many of you have an insurance license, right? A life insurance license. Okay, great. You don't need a different license. You don't need a securities license. How many of you want to not buy any new leads? Right? We buy T65 leads. We buy different leads, mortgage protection, final expense. We buy a myriad of leads. It hurts the budget. We got to do it sometimes to make money, spend money to make money, but you do not have to buy any new leads. So for the same license, no new leads, the same clients you already service, Western Marketing is now going to show you how. They've literally built step-by-step tools that no one has ever had. These are unprecedented tools that will allow you to double your income by selling FIAs to your clients. I want to take a step back first, though. I want to talk to you about something called complete protection. Now, when I say complete protection, what am I referring to? Well, early on in our lives, Jim, when we're getting a little bit up there in age, but when we were 20 years old, 22 years old, we didn't have a lot of money. In fact, I had whatever's below zero, that's what I had. I went from broke to poor, or poor to broke, or whatever that is. But I had something of great value. It's called human capital. Human capital is our ability to do, learn, and earn. Right? Your typical 20-year-old, unless they're living off a trust fund or got some sort of crazy inheritance, your typical 20-year-old does not have financial capital. They have human capital, and a lot of it. And they need to protect that human capital. Jim, what do we protect human capital with? Life insurance, right? So we are life insurance agents, and many people, their job is just that. Oh, I'm a life insurance agent. I sell life insurance to protect human capital. But that's only half of what you do. See, in an idyllic situation, I think of my father-in-law working at Boeing for 40 years. In an idyllic situation, you're exchanging that most valuable and finite asset that you have, your human capital, for financial capital. You start to build a 401k, you pay off a house, you make other investments. And over time, they cross over. Over time, as our human capital diminishes, our financial capital rises. And we get to some point where our financial capital is enough money for us to retire. Well, why am I explaining all this? Because many people, most people, when they're asked, what do you do as a life insurance agent or a health insurance agent? You simply focus on one aspect of this. If you want to double your income, you need to embrace everything that you do, everything that you're licensed to do, have a baseline knowledge, a baseline confidence, and be compliant when you're doing it. Because when we are selling things that are misrepresented, it's stressful. When we're selling things that are represented properly and have power in what they do, we sell with great confidence. And with great confidence and enjoyment, there's a saying, and the saying goes, you will never have a clear conscience, or you'll never have joy if you don't have a clear conscience. So what I'm going to teach you is how to ask one question, and you're going to unlock all parts of complete protection. You're going to unlock the ability to sell life insurance to protect human capital and sell fixed index annuities to protect financial capital. So I want you to have confidence with FIAs. I am going to make an argument that this next slide is the most powerful slide you could ever learn. And here's why. A quick history about myself, and I apologize, I'm a little under the weather, so I need to grab some water as I make this presentation. It took me, Jim, 16 months in the business, working very hard, selling a lot of life insurance. It took me 16 months to sell my first annuity. Why? Here's why. I felt inadequate. I felt that if I spoke to the client about their investments, their 401k, I felt I'm not really licensed to do that. And they've got some sort of financial advisor who's way smarter in that stuff, who is going to give them better recommendations. So what did I do? Jim, I had a fervor. I grew to the point where I wanted to have all the knowledge. And I did. I went out and grabbed a securities license. I got a CHFC, I got a CEP, a CFC, an RICP, a WMCP, an NSSA. I'm not trying to brag. What I'm saying is I went out and attacked it. It's probably my shortcoming. Maybe if I had more self-confidence, I wouldn't feel like I need all these things. That's just not the way my brain's wired. So think about that. I went out and grabbed all that knowledge, which was this ambiguous realm of financial advice that I knew had to have a better solution for my clients than a fixed index annuity. But guess what happened? It went full circle. What I did is I learned that every bond out there, every corporate bond, treasury bond, every foreign bond, municipal bond, I learned about closed-end funds, ETFs, options, you name it. When it comes to the three things I'm about to show you, and that's why this is the most important slide, if you memorize it, you can sell FIAs. But these three things are what an FIA does. And these three things, when combined, no other financial product does as well a job as this. So have confidence in this. This is the slide that you memorize, and it's your elevator pitch. You could be sitting in an elevator with Ken Fisher. And Jim, you know who Ken Fisher is?
Yeah, sure.
Right. Yeah, Ken Fisher, Fisher Investments. What does he do, Jim? He bashes annuities, right? He bashes annuities.
A lot of people do.
A lot of people. That's amen. Exactly. A lot of people do. Right. So if Ken Fisher is the bell cow of the people bashing annuities, there's a reason why. It's because if they sell an annuity, they no longer control the money and they no longer can charge you fees based on your assets under management. Now, I want to put something into perspective. I think the stock market is a great place to build wealth. I think people like Ken Fisher and people at Fisher Investments do a wonderful job helping certain clients with certain needs. But you have to have at least $500,000 of investable assets to even work with them. And many of their clients are looking at much different tax implications and problems than your average person that you sit down with. So getting back to this, memorize this slide. What are the 3 things that an FIA does? Well, a fixed index annuity eliminates market loss. You will never lose money in the market again. I use these generic names, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. When you hear me say that, that's just me engaging my clients. And I have directly and indirectly sold more annuities than anyone I know, because the volume we had at the company I started that was purchased by Integrity. And now my role as an executive with Integrity is I am the national director of annuity distribution. So that's all I do is annuities. And here's what I found. Moshe Milevsky did a study, right? We know that the stock market, when we look at it from a year-to-year standpoint, the stock market goes up roughly 3 out of 4 years, right? Stock market's a great play. Go up 3 years, go down 1. Go up 2, go down 1. Go up 5, go down 2, right? But on average, about 27% of the time, the S&P 500 goes down. Here's the problem. Moshe Milevsky studied it, and he said when it comes to monthly returns, monthly, not annually, monthly, the S&P is down almost 40% of the time. I'm rounding up slightly. It's like 38.9. But 40% of the time, if you'll humor me. So for easy math, we can understand that 40% of the months while your client is sitting there in retirement, they're no longer putting money into that account. They have a market-driven retirement, right? What happens? They go for their 401k, and the same company, Voya Financial or Nationwide, now puts their money over into an IRA, and they keep them in stocks and bonds, maybe slightly more conservative, but they still have volatility. And then what happens? We have inflation, we have pandemics, we have war in Ukraine, we have war in Israel. These things can have a massive toll. And that client doesn't sleep well at night, literally. Because retirement is not this, right? We don't live in a cocoon, Jim, for 1 year, wake up and say, well, the market did well, I had a 12% gain. Why don't I cash some of that out and I'll do a hot air balloon trip over Antarctica? That's not how it works. We have night by night, sometimes hour by hour. All of you know this. All of you have had that moment. Heck, you probably had it last night. You probably had it this week, where you wake up at 2:30 in the morning, you don't even know why, but you're stressed about something. Well, imagine being that client who no longer is putting money into their retirement, and they have to live maybe 3 decades off of it. Do you think they're going to get stressed out when they see the news? Absolutely. Benefit number 1, they never will have to worry about it, because any money you put inside a fixed index annuity eliminates all market loss. Here's the second advantage. See, rule number 1 is not exclusive. Jim, I could take my money, I could put it into a CD, I could put it into a money market account, I could put it into treasury bonds, and it's not going to lose value. But what's the upside? It's usually very, very small. See, a fixed index annuity, it will never beat the market. It's not designed to. It never gets all the market gains, but it participates in the upside. So it has higher earning potential than any other safe investment. So number 1, eliminate market loss. Number 2, participate in the upside gain. And then number 3, create a paycheck for life. See, mortality credits only exist within annuities. And I understand what some of you might be thinking. I understand what many of your clients are thinking. Hell, Jim, when we Google what is an annuity, the definition is so antiquated. It is talking about income annuities, SPIAs and DIAs, that represent less than 9% of the annuities sold. See, we need to change the mindset and change the education. This is not your granddaddy's annuity. This is a more contemporary annuity, but it's still an annuity. So regardless of all these other benefits, benefit number 3 is the hallmark benefit for annuities. They have mortality crediting, so an annuity can be a paycheck for life no matter how long you live. Whether you wanted to give that to you and your spouse, or even your children, however you design it, you can create a guaranteed lifetime income stream, and only annuities can do that. Now, Jim, I spent a lot of time in this slide, and that's not going to be indicative of the rest of the slides. I'm going to go pretty fast to get us through this and answer some questions. Why do I spend time? Because when we send the agents a copy of this, memorize these 3 things, and you are an annuity rock star. If people are
Sean, can I jump in really really
Yes,
quick
please do.
on this,
Please do.
and I'm sorry to interrupt you because I didn't want. I know you're on a roll, but we work with a lot of agents that aren't annuity agents by trade, by what they do in their day to day life, and a lot of you on this call ask me and our team for confidence or how to bridge that gap with starting that conversation with your clients. And these 3 points on the slide right now, I had to jump in and say, Sean just gave you all a way to start that conversation. What do you have in your investment portfolio that can eliminate market risk, participate in the gains of the market, and create you a lifetime income stream? And then just shut up, folks. Right, right, Sean. Like let's just be very clear. If you can have that conversation, I think that starts the road to selling annuities. So sorry, I had to jump in, but really wanted to drive that point home.
Excellent. And I appreciate that feedback helps because that's what I'm assuming we're challenging. Because I remember being that person. I thought annuities I thought I had to know everything about financial services. So you know what? I went out and figured out everything about financial services and it came full circle. It's like, no, these 3 things. Literally, you sit a client down and said, hey, and I'm going to talk about it here so I don't want to ruin the next slide, but does it do bang, bang, bang? Because a fixed index annuity does these 3 things better than any other financial product. Period. End of story. And if someone is interested in that, you've got a sale. You've got a potential sale. All right. Let's give you an example. 65. Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, but 65, assuming you're not still working, that means you're eligible for Medicare, right?
Correct.
All right. And so how many of us sell Medicare supplement plans or Part C plans, right? A lot of us. I am telling you, you all don't realize that whom you sit down with and the client base you have, there are financial advisors, there are annuity salespeople, salesmen, saleswomen who would literally kill to have the access to clients that you have. Because Jim, let's face it, when I was 20 something, I mean, I had no money. Heck, I mean, I was the typical human capital being wasted doing things I shouldn't be doing, and financial capital non-existent. But when you get to be 65, you grow up, you mature, you figure things out, you start to survive, and you're going to be sitting down with people. Maybe they only have $25,000, maybe they have $2.25 million, but you're going to find a lot of those wheelhouse clients with $1, $2, $3, $400,000. And oh my goodness, if that isn't the perfect client. Why? Because when I ask them, when's the last time you talked to your financial advisor? They say, well, when I retired and they switched my money to a 401k, to an IRA, they talked to me. Other than that, I just get a statement every year or every quarter. They are so ripe for the picking because they do not have a plan. They have what is called, and I write about this in my book, a market-driven retirement, meaning their retirement is going to go good or bad based on what the market does. I'll tell you what, Jim, my biggest shortcoming is that I hate having other people have control over me. I gotta work on that, right? But I would be terrible in the Marines. I would be terrible with people telling me, here's what you need to do. The reality is that's not that different from everyone else. No one wants to go into retirement and not have control. So when you sell an annuity, you are selling them control because it is no longer a market-driven retirement. It is a rules-driven retirement, and it is a product protection-driven retirement. So let's talk about this. Here's Bridget. She's 65 years old. She has a $225,000 IRA, and she wants to retire before 70. Some of the concerns she has is this. She's concerned that she's going to live too long. Let's say her mother lived to 100. We see that all the time. Isn't it crazy to think that the thing we're fighting for the most valuable and finite asset that we will ever have and its equal is time? And now time becomes a concern? Absolutely, because time, as Tom Hegna says, is the multiplier of all the other negative things that can pop up in your retirement. See, if a market downfall happens, Jim, let's say once every 5 years, the market tanks, right? Bear market, bears tear down, violent tear down. There's a bear market every 5 years, let's say. So the market declines more than 20%. If you're going to be in retirement and you're going to live 30 years, are you literally that bad of a gambler that you think, well, I'm just going to have no bear markets over the next 30 years, even though statistically they happen every 4 or 5 years? That's absolutely absurd. That would be like living on the Florida coast with hurricanes and not building up reinforcements and not buying hurricane insurance. Well, we have a massive hurricane every 7 years. Well, then you better get insurance. See, that's the important thing, is you want to be able to cover all the risks that happen with living too long. And she's worried about losing money in the stock market. When people look at that, when they see their money go down, because guess what? Most people you sit down with, they're not investors, they're savers. And how much are you going to enjoy retirement if you're constantly worried about the money going down? All right, so here's what we do. We have a confidential needs analysis. I call it a financial inventory. And I'm going to show you how Jim and Western has set this up. So it is available for you on their website, on their Annuity Resource Center. But I encourage you, I'm not going to go line by line and bore you. You're going to go through this and you're going to ask questions that are pertinent to why you're there and the business that you're there to conduct. Okay, so let me kind of role play. Jim, if you don't mind participating, I'm going to ask you some very personal questions. I'm going to ask you your name. I'm going to ask you your age. I'm going to ask you your driver's license, your height, weight, right? Those would be fairly personal questions. Wouldn't you agree, Jim?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm licensed to do so. When I called you on the phone or when I call you virtually or set up a Zoom call, I'm calling you because I'm a life insurance agent that's trying to help place you in the right life insurance policy or the right Medicare supplement or Medicare Advantage policy. So it makes sense that I'm asking that. But guess what? It gets even more personal. Jim, are you currently taking any medications?
No.
No. Okay, great. Do you smoke? Jim, what is your monthly income? Is your house paid off? That is very personal stuff. Yet we don't break stride because that's what we're there to do. We know that. We're going to talk about extended care, but then here's the section that Jim had us put into this financial inventory. It's available for everyone to download. The section has to do with life insurance. See, because if I'm talking to you about long-term care, about Medicare supplement plans or Medicare Advantage plans, or when I'm talking about life insurance, obviously that's a direct correlation. At some point, I need to ask you if you own any life insurance. Why? Because it makes a difference in what we're planning. It makes a difference. See, if I ask you this, Jim, do you have any life insurance currently? Like term or whole life. And I'm not counting corporate-owned life insurance. It's never enough and it's not portable. It's not going to be there when you need it. So, Jim, do you have any life insurance currently?
I do.
Okay, how much? Is it a term or whole life policy?
No, I have $1 million whole life policy.
Okay, great, fantastic, good for you, good for you. And then now, Jim, and listen up, agents, this is the golden question. This is the one question that you start applying to your financial inventory. It's going to unlock an ungodly amount of life insurance and annuity sales. It is literally how you double your income. So I'm going to follow up that question. I'm going to say, Jim, let me ask you one other question. Do you have anything that acts like life insurance? Meaning, are you self-insured? Do you have a 401k, an IRA, or 403b, an annuity, something that's going to go probate free to your loved ones if you die?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, just rough numbers. How much is it?
We've got about $500,000 in annuities right now.
Okay, perfect, great, thanks. Now listen, agents, I just asked the golden question, and why is it the golden question? Because if he says yes, yes I do, I just uncovered an annuity opportunity. But what if he said no, I don't? I don't have that extra financial capital. I don't have something that acts like life insurance. I'm not self-insured. Well, you just bolstered your argument to sell them life insurance tenfold. So that's why it's the golden question. Whether they say no or whether they say yes, you unlocked another opportunity. Right now, we're going to be focusing on yes, because we want to focus on the annuity sales, but we will add to this as we go through the series. But I want to contrast this to something else. Why does this work, Jim? It works because it makes sense to us and it makes sense to the client. I'm going to tell you my history in working with agencies. Most agencies would have a financial inventory of some sort, and they're asking all these pertinent questions. They're asking, how old are you? What medications are you taking? Is the house rented or owned? What's your monthly income? What's your current premium? Do you have any life insurance? They would ask all that stuff, Jim, and it makes sense. And they were confident in doing it because they should be, because that's their job. But then, you know what they would do? You know what they were taught? They were taught, Jim, let me ask you another question. Do you have a 401k or an investment portfolio? Whoa, wait. You're the life insurance dude. Why are you asking about my 401k? And heck, Jim, they would go even further. There would be little prompted questions. Are you happy with the performance? Are you worried about the market going down? See, Jim, here's the problem. When we do that, there are 2 or 3 things wrong. First and foremost, you're starting to cover into a gray area. You're not securities licensed, so you shouldn't be talking to your client about their investments, about the return, about are they happy with it. You shouldn't be doing that. Secondly, both you and the client aren't comfortable with it. See, let's compare those again real quick. The golden question versus the tarnished question, if you will. Hey, Jim, I asked you all these questions because I'm here to help you with Medicare supplement plan. Now I'm going to ask you about your 401k. Well, guess what? Jim clammed up. Jim's like, I got a guy for that. That's literally what I heard. I used to do it. I was taught it. It never worked. I have someone for that. Or my brother's a financial advisor, or a CPA, or a bus driver. It doesn't really matter. What they're saying is, don't ask me about that because I don't trust you and that's not why you're here. And then you know what the third thing is? The third thing is, I don't feel confident in it. Jim, you know why we miss out on so many annuity opportunities, whether you realize it or the agents realize it, is because they're not confident. How do you get confident? You do what I'm teaching you. You ask the golden question. You ask them if they're self-insured. It's so funny. Human psychology is incredible. If someone, I'll give you an example. If someone is dead broke, right? They're driving a 1992 Subaru. Nothing wrong with that. I have 2 Subarus. I love them, right? But they're driving a 1992 Subaru. They're in debt. They got credit card debt, but they happen to own a duplex and they rent out half of it. And I asked, do you have any investment properties? They proudly pound their chest and say, yes, I do. I am a real estate mogul of sorts. I have an investment property. See, it's how you position the question. Are you self-insured? People's egos are funny. We all fall victim to it. Girls less so. Girls are smarter and have their ego much more in check. But if you ask them, are you self-insured? They want to say yes. So do you see why that golden question is so powerful, Jim? Because we're comfortable asking it as an agent. They're comfortable listening to it. In fact, they're even wanting to say yes because they want to have some sex appeal. They want to be the guy or the gal that has self-insurance. I can cover myself. And then you're going to get an answer. That's the beautiful thing. So the golden question, please write this down. And I'm sure Jim's going to send you this presentation. But do you have anything that acts like life insurance? Yes. Now, when they say yes, give me just a moment. We don't stop and start throwing a party and take our client folder and throw it aside and start talking about annuities. Why? Because that's not what we're there to, the business that we're there to conduct. Because in some situations, selling Part C, you can't tidal wave sell. You can't sell other things at the appointment. And third, and probably most importantly, actually number 2 is a pretty important reason, but you don't know which company, you don't know which product, you don't know how to run the illustrations. See, that's another thing that intimidates us is, man, that's a lot to learn. That's like saying, I got to go learn how to play the violin before I can even go in and sell this product. Western has set up a system that eliminates all of that. So here's the only thing you need to do. First and foremost, ask the golden question. Do you have anything that acts like life insurance? Or are you self-insured, Mrs. Smith? And when they say yes, you ask them how much, just rough numbers. I always say it, I'm like a broken record. Just rough numbers, like I'm not that interested, but just rough numbers. How much is in the IRA? Okay, $400,000, $500,000, great. I complete and conclude the business that I'm there to conduct. But then I have a segue. Here's the segue. Before I leave, and I will literally, it's so silly, Jim, I check my watch and I remember I don't have a watch, or I check my phone. Mrs. Smith, I don't have much time, but let me ask you one last question. Before I leave today, you had mentioned that you have an IRA with a couple $100,000 in it. You are self-insured to a certain extent. Is that money protected? Right? Is that money protected? Is your retirement protected? If you've done a good job and you've built rapport with the clients, you don't want to become their best friend. See, the best friends are the ones that we neglect the most. You want to be cordial, you want to build some rapport, but you don't want to be their best friend. Always stay professional. And then ask them straightforward. Before I leave, I want to ask you, is that money protected? Now they're going to look at you and they're going to be a little confused because they don't know what you mean. But if you've done a good job building that rapport, staying professional, not becoming their best friend, they're going to give you a very honest answer. And that honest answer is going to be something like, I'm not sure, but tell me more. Remember those three things, Jim, I said that define what an annuity is? That's why you memorize them. And I would do it just like this, just like this. I would say, Mrs. Smith, we are one of the nation's leading providers of retirement protection plans. And that's a true statement. One, Western sells a lot of annuities. And two, Western is a part of Integrity, which collectively sells something close to $26 billion of annuities every year. So you are. We represent a company. We're one of the largest providers of retirement protection plans in the United States. We use something called a fixed index annuity, or an FIA. This is the fastest growing tool for retirees today. It's popular because, Mrs. Smith, it's not an investment of risk. It's a guaranteed contract that provides three things. Number one, it eliminates all market loss. You will never lose money again, no matter what's going on in the stock market, no matter what's going on with COVID-19, war in Israel, war in Ukraine. You'll sleep well at night because you won't lose money. Number two, unlike other safe investments, CDs, bonds, things of that nature, money market accounts, an FIA participates in the upside of the market. Now, I want to be very straightforward, Mrs. Smith. There's no product that eliminates all losses and gives you all of the market gains or more of the market gains. That's fictitious. But it participates. So could you imagine if the market goes down, you lost nothing, then the next year the market goes up and let's say it goes up 20% and you gain 12? That is just hypothetical. That is a much higher earning potential than any other safe investment. And that is one of the calling cards of a fixed index annuity. And then finally, Mrs. Smith, this is not your granddad's annuity, but it's still an annuity. And only annuities, when you take into account mortality credits, only annuities can guarantee a paycheck for life no matter how you live. So you could do a paycheck for you, it passes on to your spouse, even down to your children. And annuities do that. So Mrs. Smith, before I leave, and again, I'm running out of time, if one or any combination of these three things seem of interest to you, then let's set up a meeting next week at the same time. So let's meet Thursday at 11. Does that sound good to you? And Jim, what I just did there is I took control, I put it right on them, and I explained the value, but I was concise, I was confident, and I was compliant. And guess what? If you've done that right, I guarantee you at least half of the people that you talk to will say, yes, please meet me next week. Now I want to ask you something. Did I have to go open up my laptop, make myself late for my next appointment, decide which carrier in that state based on that client's age, whatever the qualified fund was or non-qualified fund was, find the carrier, open it up, pick the product, run the illustrations? I'm being gratuitous for a reason. The answer is no. That's the beauty. Western has set up the best system you could ever have. You focus on what you're doing, and then they're going to do the back end work, give it to you, and you're going to start rocking and rolling and selling these annuities. By the way, the goal is this. You want to sell one annuity every quarter. Every quarter. You do that, you're going to double your income. So introducing the Annuity Resource Center exclusively from Western Marketing. This is what we did to set it up. Now I'm actually going to switch over to the live version right here. Jim, can you see that? I just want to make sure it's showing up. Okay.
We can, Sean.
And I'm just going to give a high overview because, Jim, we want bite-sized pieces. I'm already running a little bit long. I'm almost done, and I want to leave time for questions. But we're going to go over these things in our subsequent weeks, right? But just high level, you talk about confidence and compliance. Could you imagine if I was sitting in your home for 90 minutes and the 20 years of knowledge that I have and all the securities education and certifications, and I told you how to go step-by-step and sell annuities? That's exactly what this video series is when we talk about earning your annuity badge. Remember that financial inventory that Jim created specific for Western and includes the golden question? Start using it every time. Right there, just click download, now you got it. We've also got custom brochures that talk about the 7 benefits of FIAs that have your logo, your contact information, your picture. So even if you're a neophyte, even if you're brand new to fixed index annuities, you can go out there and professionally represent yourself. And then we have Ask a Specialist. Ask a Specialist, remember I said you don't have to find out the carrier or the product or the illustrations? Here's all you do. When I spoke to Mary and she said, yes, I have $500,000 and I'm curious what you mean by is the money protected? I will simply go into the Annuity Resource Center, which is 128-bit SSL encrypted, and I'm going to enter in Mary's first name, last, or I'm sorry, I'm going to enter in my agent information and then the client's information. And then I'm going to answer the drop-down questions as best as I can. And Jim, here's the deal. Sometimes the agent doesn't know. They didn't know to ask the question. They didn't glean enough. The customer was kind of on the fence. None of these are required. You just fill it out as best you can. And then the best thing you can do is the additional comments. Write a paragraph, write 2 paragraphs. It really helps. If they gave you a copy of like their financial statement, you can upload it here securely. And then you have to check this, that you acknowledge that you're sending information that they gave to you over to Integrity. You're sending it to Western, we're all Integrity, but they have to be some sort of legal recognition. And you hit submit. Now here's what happens when that happens. An expert working for Western Marketing who has a securities license or an RICP or an insurance license, we have specialists now who look at your scenario. And they say, well, based on Mary's age and the amount and her goals and the state, this is the right product. And here's the cool thing. They send it right back to you and they explain everything. They say, here's the illustrations. Oh, by the way, you weren't contracted, so please fill out the contracting form and send it in with the application. And here's a reason why we chose this. So you're doing 2 things. One, they're walking you down that path, teaching you right there. You didn't have to become an expert on all things annuities. You just had to have them pick it, and now you learn that annuity, and you can do it. They also keep you compliant. Jim, you've heard of the best interest rules. It is prolific now. I think it's 46, 47 of the 50 states have enacted the best interest rule, meaning you have to have proof that you chose the financial product that is in the best interest of the client. What better way to do that than have it all documented by people who have securities licenses recommending why they chose that product? And then here's the last thing they say on this. You then go out, you do your next week follow-up, study those illustrations. There's a phone number and email of the specialist who gave it to you. You can call them back. They'll set up a 30-minute call and walk you through it. I've done this for 20 years. I think I've sold 1,000 annuities. That's no joke. I use maybe 2 or 3 different types. What I'm telling you is invest that first time by reading through the illustrations. Take a highlighter, write down the 7 questions that you have that don't make sense to you. Call the Ask a Specialist back and say, hey, thank you so much. I got everything, but can you explain this? And then guess what? Jim, you'll go out and you'll probably fail. And you might fail a second time and maybe even a third time, but it's a numbers game. And if you keep it up, you're going to start selling, and your goal is to sell one annuity per quarter. And not every illustration is different. You're going to start finding that after you put the work in the first couple times, you start seeing the same annuity over and over again. And God forbid, you're going to get good at it. You're going to feel comfortable with it. So these are the steps that I wanted to point out. I'll go back to the presentation. The first step that everyone should start with is this. If you want to double your income, do what I'm saying. Do what Jim has set up. Do what Western has set up. If you were going to retire in 3 months, don't worry about it. Go do something else. Have fun, right? But most of us, we need to build in our career. And there was a statistic I saw, Jim, that said that most people learn 90% of their job within the first 12 months. The only reason I had success, the only reason I sold 3 companies to Integrity and now serve as an executive for Integrity is because I never stopped learning. It was probably my own fault. I probably had an ego that said, or self-confidence issues. I'm being honest, like I hated not knowing. So I learned, but it doesn't have to be a negative thing. It's a positive thing for me now. I love to learn. This is 88 minutes of videos. That's it, 88 minutes. It's like invest in one movie, and you might get bored of hearing me speak, but I'm going to break down each section. What is an FIA, the power of indexing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then there's quizzes, small quizzes. It's only like 30 or 40 questions for the whole thing. And then you're going to get a certificate of completion, okay? And that's going to have your name on it. Now, it's not recognized by FINRA, but I promise you, if you finish my video course and get your certification, you're going to be champing at the bit. Can't wait till you download your new financial inventory and start asking the golden question every time. And Jim, I want to offer this. For the first 20 people that send in their certificate to you, tell me them and make sure they give me their physical address. And I'm going to send them a free copy of my book, 7 Benefits of FIAs for Retirement. Okay. So last thing I'm going to cover. Yeah. When you submit to the Ask a Specialist, you're going to get everything back. Remember I told you Bridget was 65. She had $225,000. I asked her the golden question. She said, well, yeah, I do have this money. And I say, is your retirement protected? She says, I don't know what you mean. This was the solution I found. This is something called Performance Elite from Athene. It's one of my favorite products. It has a premium bonus of 15%. And what I showed is, hey, Bridget, you can sleep well at night because the fixed index annuity will never go down when the market goes down. She goes, thank God, because it does worry me. She goes, I watch Fox News or I watch CNN, and every time I watch it, I'm worried. And when I see my account go down, I freak out. I wonder how far it's going to free fall. I said, the good news is you'll never have to worry about that again. And the better news is we added 15%. We added 33,750 back to make up for any of those recent losses. And all your gains are locked in from this point forward. Now, she wanted to retire around age 70. So what I did is I just put a 5% withdrawal at age 70. So you can see that she starts taking money out. Since it's a fixed index annuity, the indexing still credits. And by the time she is 89 years old, she took out, remember, this is only $225,000. She took out $1.1 million and still has $1.8 million that she could use for long-term care, pass on to loved ones, give to a charity, you name it. That's the power of the fixed index annuity. And I show this highlighted version because ask yourself, this is an internal question. Do you think you could sell this? Do you think you could sell a product that never goes down when the market goes down, that participates in the market and gets higher gains than any other safe investment, and can be converted into a lifetime income stream? And oh, by the way, we're offering 15% transfer bonuses right now, cash money. This isn't an income bonus. This is real cash money, $33,000 added to it. You think you could sell that? And that's a rhetorical question, because I think if anyone's listening to this, and thank you for those that are, right? You're making an investment in yourself. This isn't for me. I'm good. Jim's good. We want you to find success with this. And the answer is yes, you can sell this. Well, guess what? Based on average commissions, you just made $12,000. Jim, let me ask you a really crazy question. How many MedSup sales would you need to get 12K?
Probably 4X, so about 48. to get
Yeah.
12,000.
Yeah. I've heard people say something from 35 to 50, right? That's a lot. And
Hmm.
keep selling the MedSup. That's your bread and butter. That's the core. People trust their MedSup agent. All you have to do is just start asking the golden question. So here's the steps. Here's your goals. Okay. And then I'll open up for questions. We'll have a few minutes there. First and foremost, download the Western Marketing Financial Inventory. Do it. Go through it, read it, be comfortable with it. Second, ask the golden question every time. Jim, I grew up with a single mother in the city. I'm great talking to women, younger people. I feel like I can help out. You know what my bane was? It was the old cantankerous guys, the guys that were like, "Give me the price, right? Get off my lawn." I struggled with them, and I remember going through a phase where I would show them the price and say, "Well, this is the price. You're probably not interested," and I would sheepishly just walk away. But then I realized that every time I did that, I hurt them because they just because they have a front, just because they have a shell that might be a bit cantankerous, doesn't mean that they don't need what I have. And you know what else it hurt? I came home to my kids, my 4 kids, my wife every time, and I felt like I let them down. So you want to double your income? Ask the golden question every time. It's a repetition thing, right? And submit all of your scenarios to the Ask a Specialist. That's it. You want to double your income? Do these 3 things. None of these require new leads. None of these require a new license. None of these require anything. And here's what I'm asking you to understand. Don't be afraid to fail. Jim, I'll end on this. I think I talked to your group at your national conference last year in Reno. If I'm going to a prom and I want to dance with a girl, okay, I can go about it 2 ways. I could find a girl and I can walk up and ask if she's having fun. I could ask her if she's enjoying the punch, the music. I could tell her dress looks nice. All these things are well and good. But Jim, until I ask her if she wants to dance, I haven't done anything. Let's say I finally ask her and she says no. Should I keep asking her? Heck no. See, you've got to be more efficient. You've got to have thick skin. And if you stick with those 3 things that I talked about, you will have a clear conscience. And when you have a clear conscience, you always have joy. So you simply go up, "Hey, would you like to dance? No? No problem. How about you? Would you like to dance? No? Great, no problem. How about you? Would you like to dance? Yes, great. I'm dancing." That's how you have to approach it. You don't need to get emotional. Don't chase it. I have people ask me all the time, "Hey, the client said no, the client said this, the client said that. Can we get this?" I say, stop. Your time is too valuable. They said no, move on to the next one. And when you take that weight and lift it off your shoulders, all you have to do is memorize the slides, memorize the golden question, use the financial inventory, and you're going to rock and roll. Because when you submit it over to the Ask a Specialist, Western has it set up that they do all the work and they send it back to you and they tell you exactly how to sell it, what to sell, give you the illustrations, make sure you're contracted. And guess what? It doesn't cost you anything. All right, Jim, I spent a lot of time. I'm going to go ahead and close the screen now and open it up for any questions.
Yeah, Sean, thank you. Yeah, folks, first of all, Sean, thank you very much. For those of you who've never met Sean, Sean and I really started our friendship about a year ago now. And, I like to think I'm pretty good at annuities, got my securities license because I wanted to learn more when I was newer in the industry. So really appreciated that story. But the reason I have asked Sean to join with you is hopefully if you have questions, you're entering those, because I think a lot of people talk at you when they're talking about a way to do something or a new product. They tell you this, and I think Sean does it a little differently. He helps you actually get through the minutia of what you need to do and what you need to know to be successful when you're trying something new. And that's important, right? Because we all want to save face. We don't want to, try something new, fail consistently over a long period of time. Folks, as Sean said, the first 1, 2, maybe 3 you do, they might suck a little bit because it's not what you're used to. But embrace that suck and know there's a reason you're doing it. First and number one, you're trying to help your client out, right?
Yeah.
That should be the basis of everything we do. All right. And then beyond that, you're also trying to grow your business, add income for yourself and your family. That doesn't hurt. I don't work for free, nor would I ever ask any of you to work for free. Um, and as we discussed, if you're a Medicare agent, for example, it could take 30 or 40 Medicare policies to get you the same exact income as one annuity. And at the heart of it, it's about working smarter, not harder, all the time, right? If I can help you, and Sean can help you earn double your income without adding one more extra client a year, is that worth your time, right? Is that worth you taking a shot and maybe being uncomfortable a little bit? I guarantee you, the first time you sold a Medicare or an ACA or whatever else you're an expert at, it wasn't perfect, and this won't be either. But that's okay. So if you have questions, now's the time to put those in the question box. Again, as I'm looking at that, I want to let you guys know that this will be a weekly series. Today was the first, and then there will be every Thursday at 1 Central for the next 9 weeks, including this week. More, and we're just going to build. We're going to build, because what that's going to do is it's going to make that suck we just talked about a little less, right? Build your confidence a little more and make the suck a little less for you. So, I guess, Sean, and why I had you on this, there really doesn't seem to be a lot of questions other than, let me see here, is the confidential needs analysis or the financial analysis, is it a fillable PDF? That's a question that was asked.
It is. Great question. That was actually something we recently updated. And yeah, and Jim, I don't see where the questions are, so you might have to relay them to. But yes, the
Yep.
needs analysis, and I call it a financial inventory. It's printed on the top, confidential needs analysis, because Jim, if you were my client and I've got this thing in front of you and it says confidential, makes you feel better, right? So yeah, it is a fillable PDF. Yes.
It is also one, though, just so y'all know, if you aren't carrying a laptop or something like that with you, we can get you a PDF of it to print. So depending on your business needs, the way you can do your business, if you want one where you're old school, like I used to be when I was in the field, and you want to write it out, just let us know, and we can get you that PDF. And there's a question of, we've got people asking where to send their certificates when they're done, Sean, already, because they want your book.
Yeah.
Folks, I'll get that at the end, at the very end. That'll be the last thing we give, just to make sure. And I will tell you, Sean actually is very generous. He shared his books with us before, with some of our agents at the meeting he spoke about in Tahoe. And I will tell you, and I mean this sincerely, if you take the time to invest in yourself and your business and read Sean's book, and you really give it thought, this series is going to be a bonus, right? That the book itself, roughly 150 pages or whatever it is,
Yep.
is really, really good. It breaks it down, it explains it, and it walks you through how to talk to your clients about it. And by the way, the flyer on our website, you can customize, as Sean said, and it's a leave behind with your client if you need to. And all of a sudden, you propped yourself up as the expert with FIA. So other than that, Sean, let me just make sure we don't have any other questions. No, that looks like it. So, Sean, first of all, thank you for sharing your knowledge and your expertise with not only our agents, who are why we're all here, but also with our staff, right? You've helped us immensely, and I greatly appreciate that. For everybody who sat through this training, again, thank you very much. This is the first of more to come, to build your knowledge, your confidence on that. And again, it's not lost on us. You aren't out making sales while you're sitting on a webinar. So So thank you very much. So folks, if you have questions, if something comes up, if you're out in the field, if you want to talk more about annuities and you don't want to type stuff in, whatever that is, feel free to give us a call. Our number is 1-800-852-7152. You can either ask for myself, Jim Codney. I'm our National Sales Director. If you're already working with a marketer, feel free to work with your marketer, or you can ask for somebody on the life and annuity team. Anybody on our team will be happy to take the time and answer your questions. And if we don't know, we'll source the experts that we have access to find out. If you want to email me your certificate to get a free copy of Sean's book, my email is jim@WMA, so like Western Marketing Associates, corp.com. So jim@WMAcorp.com. When I'm going to take a list of the first 20, as Sean said, and we've got a lot more than 20 people on this webinar, Sean, so I might have to talk to you offline about getting a couple more copies. Guys, thank you very much. And we're here for you. Anything you need, call us. Again, 800-852-7152. Thanks a lot, Sean. Thank you very much, my friend. We'll talk soon. Have a great day, everybody. Peace.
Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.